In the cold darkness of space, far beyond the shining edge of the Milky Way, the Galactic Union watched humanity with quiet amusement. To them, humans were still young, still reckless, still playing with toys they barely understood. They had fire, they had metal, they had courage. But in the eyes of the ancient races, they had no true power. For centuries, humanity had tried to prove itself, sending ships to nearby systems, exploring, learning, and adapting faster than any other species. But every time they tried to stand tall, the galaxy laughed. They said humans were emotional, unpredictable, and weak. And yet something strange began to happen on the small red world called Mars. Reports started to spread, whispers carried through trade routes and secret channels. Human engineers were working on something new, something enormous. Alien merchants spoke of giant metal rings being built in orbit, of magnetic storms so strong they fried sensors from a distance. But when the Galactic Union's observers asked for proof, they found nothing but silence. Earth said nothing, Mars said nothing, and the few who dared to spy never came back among the humans. One name began to rise: Commander Ilara Voss. She was young but brilliant, calm but dangerous. Her station, Zephyr Base, hidden behind the shadows of Jupiter, was said to house Earth's most secret weapon project. Only her closest team knew the truth. Project Railgun. It was not a missile, not a laser, not even a bomb. It was something older and simpler. Pure kinetic energy turned into destruction. A weapon that could fire a small piece of metal faster than light, faster than anything known to the galaxy. But they were not ready yet. Not until every test was perfect. One night, as the last shift ended, Ilara stood in the control room, staring at the glowing blue barrel of the prototype. Her chief engineer, Dr. Hale, looked nervous. "Commander," he said quietly, "if this fails, the entire base could be destroyed." Ilara didn't blink. "If it fails, we learn. If it works, the galaxy learns." Outside, lightning crawled across Jupiter's storms like veins of electricity. The testing platform was set. The first round locked in place. Her voice was steady. "Charge the magnetic field." The hum of power filled the base, a deep vibration that shook every wall. The lights dimmed, alarms flashed red, and the computers screamed warnings. Then silence. The system shut down automatically. "The test aborted," Dr. Hale cursed under his breath. "Power overload, we need more shielding." Ilara only smiled slightly. "Good, that means it almost worked, far away." In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, alien ambassadors discussed the rumors. One old senator, his skin silver and his eyes black like coal, laughed. "Humans building planet weapons? Ridiculous, they still use bullets and rockets," another replied. "They are clever, but their physics are primitive." The hall filled with laughter. No one noticed the small human envoy in the back, quietly recording every word. He sent the message back to Earth with one line: "They're not afraid of us. Not yet." Back on Zephyr Base, Ilara stood by the viewing glass, watching Jupiter's storms twist like fire in slow motion. Her eyes were tired but full of quiet resolve. She whispered softly, almost to herself. "They can laugh all they want," she said. "When the first shot fires, they won't be laughing anymore." The camera zooms out, showing the massive railgun core under construction. Glowing faintly in the dark, the hum of power echoes again. The words appear on screen. Project Railgun, status, 92% complete. And in the silence of deep space, a signal pulse escaped from Earth, a simple message that crossed every galactic frequency. "Test scheduled. Stand by." No one in the galaxy took it seriously, but soon they would. Days turned into weeks, and the silence from Earth grew heavier. The Galactic Union had stopped receiving transmissions from human colonies. Their trade routes had gone dark. Their ships no longer answered hails. To many, it looked like fear, like humanity had finally accepted its small place in the galaxy. But to a few, it felt like the calm before a storm. In the quiet halls of the Galactic Council, voices argued endlessly. "The humans are hiding!" one alien commander shouted, his scales glimmering in the light. "They are preparing something," another warned. But the council laughed again. They are a young race full of pride. They will never challenge us. Far away, hidden behind Jupiter's red clouds, Commander Alara Voss stood inside Zephyr Base's control deck. Her uniform was wrinkled, her eyes sharp from lack of sleep. The railgun stood ready, the machine that had taken 10 years. 50 nations and countless lives to complete. Dr. Hale entered with a data pad in his hand. "Power system is stable," he said. "But we still don't know if the barrel can handle a full charge." Alara nodded slowly. "Then we'll find out when we fire it." Outside, human ships moved in silence, hauling huge magnetic cores toward asteroid belts. Each ship carried parts of something bigger: satellites, reactors, and strange black pods that could vanish from scanners. To the untrained eye, it looked like construction, but it was something far more dangerous, a web of defense, spreading across the solar system. Meanwhile, the Galactic Union sent small spy fleets to investigate. They approached Mars expecting resistance, but found only ghost stations and cold dust. When they scanned deeper, their instruments started to fail. Strange electromagnetic waves disrupted their sensors. One by one, their ships vanished from radar. No signals. No survivors, only silence. In the council chambers, reports began to flood in. 3 scout ships lost near Mars, communication jammers detected near Jupiter. Still, the leaders refused to believe. The humans are desperate. "They are hiding behind tricks," one said proudly. "They have no true weapons to face us." But not everyone agreed. Admiral Reinar, one of the oldest and wisest military leaders in the galaxy, studied the data carefully. He had fought hundreds of wars and seen thousands of worlds burn. He leaned back in his chair and whispered, "No one hides this quietly unless they are planning something loud." On Zephyr Base, Alara looked at a hologram of Earth, small, blue, peaceful. Her expression softened. "They'll come for us soon," she said. Dr. Hale replied. "Then we'll be ready." Late that night, a strange transmission broke through the base's signal net. It was an alien voice, smooth and mocking. "This is the Zircon Empire. Surrender your technology and we will spare your planet." Alara listened, unmoving. Then she answered, "Tell your emperor we are not interested in surrender." The alien voice laughed. "You humans and your pride. It will destroy you." As the transmission ended, Dr. Hale frowned. "They know about the project," he said. Alara nodded. "Then they'll send more ships." She turned toward the massive railgun chamber, where engineers worked in silence under bright white light. "Then let's give them something to see," she said calmly. Outside, the cold vacuum of space was filled with movement. Human cargo ships, warships, and drones began to take formation around the orbital base, each one silent, their engines burning faint blue light. It was the first time in history that Earth's fleets were united under one command. Back in the council hall, Admiral Reinar looked at the new reports with growing fear. 10 human fleets have vanished from our scanners," a technician said. "Vanished?" Reinar repeated slowly. "Yes, Admiral, like ghosts." He turned toward the stars shown on the big display and whispered, "They're not hiding because they fear us," he said softly. "They're hiding because they're waiting." And somewhere in the deep black between Mars and Jupiter, Commander Alara Voss stood on the bridge of her ship, USS Ragnarok, the most advanced human warship ever built. She looked at the stars and said only one word. Soon, the camera slowly zoomed out, showing hundreds of human ships aligning silently across the solar system. A faint blue glow pulsed through space, the hum of power rising. And deep in Zephyr Base, the message appeared on a small monitor. "Project Railgun, fully operational." The galaxy had gone quiet, but the silence did not last long. A week after the last human signal vanished, the Zircon Empire began to move. They were one of the oldest and most powerful races in the galaxy. Proud, ruthless, and certain of their superiority, their fleet stretched across dozens of worlds. Armed with plasma cannons and gravity bombs that could crush cities in seconds, their emperor, Lord Xylar, stood before his generals. His voice sharp and full of pride. "The humans dare to challenge us," he said. "They hide like insects in their little system, thinking their toys can stop us." He raised his clawed hand. We will burn their colonies, destroy their stations, and make Earth kneel. The generals bowed, shouting in unison. For the Empire, the Zircon fleet jumped into human space, their ships glowing with blue light. They targeted the outer colonies near Mars, where they expected the weakest resistance. Their plan was simple: crush the humans quickly and make an example of them. At first, it seemed to work. Human defense stations were destroyed, mining bases were vaporized, and communication lines were cut across the galaxy. Other alien species watched the broadcast and laughed. See, they said, human arrogance always ends in fire. But deep within the shadow of Jupiter, Commander Alara Voss and her crew were already watching. The images of burning colonies filled the main screen. Dr. Hale clenched his fists. "We can't just watch." Alara's voice was calm. "We won't." Inside Zephyr Base, the railgun chamber hummed with energy. Massive coils spun around a glowing core, magnetic power building up like thunder before a storm. Technicians shouted updates. Capacitors charged, barrel alignment stable. Target lock confirmed. Alara walked to the command chair. Her face cold and focused, she opened a channel to every human ship. "This is Commander Voss of the USS Ragnarok. Engage silent mode, prepare for Phase 1. Out in space." The human fleet began to move. Slow, deliberate, hidden behind asteroid shadows. The Zircon ships never noticed. They were too busy celebrating their easy victory, too confident to scan properly. Suddenly, a sensor officer on the alien flagship shouted, "Unidentified object approaching fast!" Before the commander could react, the object struck one of their destroyers. A kinetic slug. Small but devastating, the ship exploded instantly. Torn apart by invisible force, the bridge went silent. "What was that?" The commander yelled, "No energy reading, no missile trail, it's just metal." Another impact, then another. Every shot came faster than light. Every explosion brighter than the last. Entire squadrons disappeared in seconds. On Zephyr Base, the railgun barrel glowed white-hot, the air vibrating with power. Dr. Hale looked at the readings, eyes wide. "The slug reached the target in less than 3 seconds, he whispered. Ilara's voice stayed calm. "Load round 2. Far away, Lord Xylar watched the chaos through his flagship's main screen. He had never seen anything like it. No lasers, no plasma, no beams, only destruction. "Find their weapon," he screamed. But the scanners showed nothing. Only a faint magnetic trail fading into the void, then the second shot fired. A single metal slug tore through the Zircon command ship, slicing it in half. The explosion lit up the blackness of space like a second sun. For the first time in centuries, the Zircon fleet began to retreat. Across the solar system, human soldiers cheered. But Ilara did not smile. She looked at the burning remains of the alien fleet and whispered, "This was only a warning." Dr. Hale looked at her, confused. "A warning?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "We didn't aim for their home world. On the dark side of Jupiter, the railgun cooled down, glowing faintly blue. The message went out to all human fleets. Phase 1 complete. Await further orders." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the laughter had stopped. The broadcasts that once mocked humanity now showed images of destruction, alien admirals staring in fear. No one spoke of humans as weak anymore. They spoke of them as monsters, and somewhere beyond the stars, the voice of an alien scientist trembled over a broadcast. If that was their first shot, what happens when they fire again? The galaxy trembled. The news of the Zircon defeat spread faster than light. Across thousands of worlds, screens flashed with images of shattered ships and burning skies. Every race that once laughed at humans now whispered their name with fear, but on Earth there was no celebration. Commander Alara Voss sat alone in the observation deck of the USS Ragnarok, staring at the stars. Around her, engineers and officers worked quietly. Avoiding her eyes, Dr. Hale entered, holding a tablet with energy readings. "The tests were successful," he said softly. "The railgun performed beyond expectations." Ilara didn't answer. She only whispered, "Beyond expectations can also mean beyond control." The destruction of the Zircon fleet had been brutal. Millions had died in seconds, and now human leaders wanted to test the railgun's full range, its true potential. Ilara knew what that meant. a target large enough to prove the weapon could destroy a planet. At the same time, the Galactic Council was in chaos. Reports came in from every system. Panic, fear, riots. Many refused to believe the humans had done it. "Impossible," one senator shouted. "No projectile can move that fast." Another slammed his fist. "We must strike first before they build more." But Admiral Reinar sat in silence. He had seen the recordings. He had read the energy readings. His voice was low and cold. "They are not bluffing," he said. "That weapon can kill worlds." Meanwhile, in orbit above Jupiter, Zephyr Base glowed with activity. Dozens of human ships floated nearby, moving like a silent army inside the command room. The new order arrived in Project Railgun Phase 2, the target, the Zircon command moon of Atheon. Dr. Hale read the message out loud, his hands shaking. "They want us to fire on a planet," he said. Alara stood up slowly. "They want proof." The crew stared in disbelief. "Commander, if we do this, we'll be no better than them," one officer said. Ilara looked at him, calm but distant. "Maybe, but if we don't, they'll come again." Preparations began. The railgun's coils hummed as magnetic fields charged up. Gigantic power cables glowed bright blue, lightning crawling across the floor. Every human ship pulled back to a safe distance on Earth. Billions watched through live feeds, silent, breathless, afraid. "Target locked," Dr. Hale said. "Charge at maximum," Alara replied. The sound grew deeper, like the growl of a storm ready to break. The air trembled, panels flickered, and the control room filled with light in deep space. The Zircon moon Atheon orbited peacefully, unaware cities sparkled across its surface, filled with life and pride. Then, without warning, the light reached it. A single metal slug, smaller than a fighter ship, tore through the darkness. It moved faster than sensors could measure, faster than thought when it struck the moon. There was no explosion, just silence. And then the entire surface cracked open. Glowing red, the core collapsed in seconds. The moon shattered apart, breaking into a billion burning fragments across the galaxy. Satellites recorded the moment, a flash so bright it could be seen from light years away. In the council hall, everyone froze. No one spoke. No one moved. The ancient races who had once mocked humanity sat in silence. Their faces pale, one finally whispered, "They destroyed a world." Back on the Ragnarok, Dr. Hale looked at the readings in disbelief. "Impact confirmed," he said weakly. "No survivors." The control room was silent. Ilara closed her eyes, the weight of what she had done heavy on her heart. She whispered softly, "That was not victory." That was a warning. The camera slowly zoomed out, showing the shattered remains of Atheon drifting through the void, its debris glowing like red embers in the dark. Across the stars, every empire stopped laughing. They had finally understood the truth. Humanity had become the new power. And somewhere in the deep silence of space, the message echoed once more. Project Railgun, Phase 2, complete. The galaxy had never known silence like this. After the destruction of Atheon, communication networks across the stars went quiet. News feeds stopped reporting, trade ships refused to leave port, and entire planets went into lockdown. Everyone was afraid of the same thing: humanity. In the halls of the Galactic Council, panic spread like fire. Leaders shouted over each other, each blaming someone else for allowing humans to rise unchecked. "They were supposed to be primitive," one senator cried. Another slammed his fist on the table. "They destroyed a planet with a piece of metal." "That is not science. That is madness." But others refused to believe it. "They faked the video," someone shouted. "No weapon can do that." Denial spread faster than fear. Only Admiral Reinar remained calm. He had seen enough wars to recognize the truth. He looked at the recordings, the silent slug, the instant destruction, the pattern of energy waves that followed. His voice was low. "It's real," he said. "And if we ignore it, it will happen again." But the council didn't listen. They argued, they doubted, and they wasted precious time. Meanwhile, on Earth, humans were divided too. Some celebrated, waving flags and calling Alara Voss a hero. Others mourned the loss of life, saying humanity had gone too far. Commander Alara herself said nothing. She stayed on the USS Ragnarok, orbiting in silence above Jupiter. Dr. Hale visited her on the bridge, holding a report. The United Earth Council approved the next phase, he said quietly. Alara turned her head slowly. Phase 3? He nodded. They want to build 3 more railguns. Alara walked toward the viewing window, the swirling storms of Jupiter reflecting in her eyes. 3 more, she whispered. As if one wasn't enough, Dr. Hale hesitated. They say it's for protection. She looked back at him. No, it's for power. In the following months, construction began in secret. Massive rings and cores were assembled near asteroid belts and icy moons. Each railgun would be hidden, silent, capable of firing across entire systems. To outsiders, it looked like mining operations. But every scientist and engineer working there knew the truth. Project Echo. While humans prepared, alien spies tried to learn more. Small stealth ships entered the solar system. Trying to scan the new structures, none of them returned. Their last transmissions were static, then nothing. Rumors began spreading across alien worlds. They are building weapons that can kill suns, one report said. They are preparing to conquer the stars, said another. In the council, fear turned to anger. The Zircon survivors demanded revenge. They destroyed our moon, their ambassador roared. Do nothing! And they will destroy yours next. The council finally reached a decision. All empires will unite, the speaker announced. We will stop humanity before they finish their new weapons. Admiral Reinar looked at the gathered leaders, his expression grim. You want to start a war with the species that just broke physics? He said. The others glared. They are dangerous, one replied. They must be stopped. Reinar shook his head slowly. Or you will start something none of us can end. Back on the Ragnarok, Alara received a transmission, an emergency alert. Multiple fleets were mobilizing. Heading toward Earth, Dr. Hale looked terrified. They're uniting against us. Alara's face hardened. I warned them this would happen, she said. They fear what they don't understand. Outside, the human fleet began to move. Engines glowing in the darkness, silent and disciplined. They formed a defensive wall across the solar system. Every ship armed, every satellite ready. Alara gave the order, her voice calm but heavy. Activate planetary defense grid. Prepare Zephyr base for full charge. As the stars burned quietly around them, the words appeared on the main screen. Incoming fleets detected. 93 alien armadas approaching. Dr. Hale whispered. It's the whole galaxy, Alara replied coldly. Then the whole galaxy will learn. The camera slowly zoomed out, showing the solar system surrounded by glowing fleets on every side, Earth at the center, silent and waiting, and the Ragnarok ready for war, above the static of the radio. A single human message played on all frequencies. You ignored the warnings. The galaxy had made its choice. The combined armadas of more than 90 alien empires moved toward the solar system. Thousands of ships filled with weapons, warriors, and pride. Each one certain they could end the threat of humanity once and for all. From Earth's orbit, the view was terrifying. The night sky shimmered with enemy fleets, their engines glowing like a field of stars. Every human base reported the same message. Contact confirmed. They're here. Inside the USS Ragnarok, Commander Alara Voss stood in silence. Her eyes followed the holographic display, glowing red dots representing the invading fleets. Dr. Hale was beside her, voice tight with fear. There are too many, he said, even with the railgun. We can't stop them all. Alara didn't answer. She simply whispered, Then we won't stop them all. We'll show them why they should never have come. Across the solar system, human ships took position, near Mars. The Titan defense line activated. Thousands of drones and plasma turrets powered up. On Jupiter's moons, massive launch platforms began to glow blue with energy. And hidden among the asteroids, 3 new railguns, the result of Project Echo, stood ready to fire. Each one capable of wiping out a fleet with a single shot. The alien coalition entered the system with arrogance. They believed humanity's power was a trick, a weapon that could only fire once. Spread the fleets, one alien commander ordered. Attack from every side. Overwhelm their defenses. Their ships moved like a dark ocean. Spreading toward Earth, the first wave hit the Mars defense grid. Explosions lit up the red planet, human drones colliding with alien bombers. Laser fire filled the sky, Dr. Hale shouted over the comms. "We're losing drones on the Western Line," Ilara replied calmly. "They're not meant to win. They're meant to draw them in." At that moment, she turned toward the main railgun control. "Zephyr Base, prepare to fire," she said. Her officers worked quickly, energy readings rising. Magnetic fields building power. "Target locked," a voice said. "On my mark," Ilara commanded. The lights dimmed, and the Ragnarok shook as the first railgun fired. The shot was silent, a blur of metal faster than any sensor could track. Seconds later, it struck the heart of the enemy's main fleet. The explosion that followed was beyond imagination. Hundreds of ships vanished instantly, turned to dust by kinetic force. The wave of destruction spread across space like a storm. Dr. Hale gasped, "Direct hit! The fleet's gone!" Ilara's voice was cold. "Then load another," but the enemy did not stop. More fleets poured in, firing plasma beams, gravity torpedoes, and dark matter cannons. Earth's shields flared under the assault. But they held strong. Human ships weaved between enemy lines, small and fast, striking from hidden positions. In the chaos, an alien admiral shouted, "They're everywhere!" How are they everywhere? The humans had activated cloaking drones, invisible machines that mimicked ghost fleets. Confusing alien sensors everywhere the invaders looked. There were human ships, real or fake, firing from the shadows, and then from behind Saturn, a massive shape appeared. The second Ragnarok, humanity's newest dreadnought. Its railgun was larger, faster, stronger. It charged once and fired without warning. The slug passed through 3 enemy carriers and shattered a 4th behind them. The alien armada began to break. Their formations crumbled. Their communications jammed. Their morale gone, Admiral Reinar, watching from his ship far away, whispered, "They were right to fear the humans." Back in the command room, Dr. Hale looked at Ilara. "They're retreating," he said softly. Ilara nodded. "They finally understand." The last remaining fleets fled toward deep space, their engines burning bright as they escaped. Silence returned to the solar system. The battle was over. The stars were filled with wreckage and smoke. Earth had survived. But at a terrible cost, thousands of human ships lost. Countless lives gone, Ilara stood on the deck. Looking out at the stars, her expression was unreadable. A mix of pride and sorrow. Dr. Hale broke the silence. "We won," he said. Ilara shook her head. "No, Hale, we just proved we could destroy everything." The camera zoomed out slowly, showing the solar system surrounded by the burning remains of alien fleets, the blue glow of the railguns fading in the distance, and a single message flashing across the human network. "Project Echo, Phase 3, complete. The galaxy will remember. The war was over." But the galaxy would never be the same again. The stars that once shone with trade and communication now carried only silence. Wreckage from thousands of ships floated in the dark, spinning slowly under the light of distant suns. On Earth, people cheered. For the first time in history, humanity had faced the entire galaxy and survived. Cities lit up in celebration, children waved flags, and the news called Commander Ilara Voss the savior of Earth. But Ilara did not celebrate. She stood alone on the bridge of the USS Ragnarok, staring out at the endless black sky. Dr. Hale entered quietly, holding 2 cups of coffee. "You should rest," he said softly. Ilara smiled faintly. "I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see them." "The aliens?" he asked. She nodded. "The ones we destroyed." "Millions of them? And for what? To prove we could?" The ship drifted silently near Jupiter. Its once bright engines dimmed around it. The wreckage of enemy fleets glimmered like floating graves. Dr. Hale looked at the scanner screens, hundreds of life signals, weak but still there. "Some of them survived," he said. "Zircon, Valari, and even some from the Council worlds." Ilara turned to him slowly. "Then we helped them." He looked surprised. "Help them? After what they did?" Ilara's eyes were tired but steady. "If we don't, then we're no better than they were." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, fear had turned into submission. The great empires signed treaties of peace, each one swearing never to raise a weapon against Earth again. The Galactic Council itself moved to neutral space, rebuilding under human supervision. Admiral Rhynar, now one of the few alien commanders left with any power, spoke to the new council. Humanity did not destroy us, he said. They stopped us from destroying ourselves. His words spread across the stars, whispered in every world where survivors still lived. Back on Earth, the people demanded new leadership. The generals who had hidden in bunkers during the war were replaced by scientists, explorers, and builders. Humanity had learned the price of victory, and it was heavier than anyone expected. One night, as the Ragnarok drifted above the quiet blue planet, Ilara received a transmission. It came from the edge of known space, a weak, static-filled signal. Dr. Hale adjusted the frequency, and a voice spoke. "This is Admiral Rhynar of the Galactic Council." "We request a meeting," Ilara agreed. The next day, their ships met in orbit above Titan. The alien admiral bowed his head, his silver eyes dull and weary. "You have won the war," he said. "But can you win peace?" Ilara looked at him for a long moment before answering. "Peace is not something we win, Admiral," she said. "It's something we build." Together they signed the Solar Accord, a treaty that united every surviving race under one banner, not of fear, but of cooperation. The galaxy, once divided by arrogance and pride, began to heal. Trade resumed. Colonies rebuilt and new alliances were born. But the memory of the railgun remained. It was never fired again. Its blue coils were sealed, its power cores dismantled. The weapon that once shattered a planet became a monument, a reminder. Years later, a group of young cadets visited the ruins of Zephyr Base. They stood before the massive silent barrel of the old railgun. Covered in dust and vines, one of them asked, "Do you think we'll ever build something like this again?" Their instructor smiled sadly. "Let's hope we never need to." Far beyond, in the quiet of deep space, the wreckage of Atheon still drifted. And in that silence, the galaxy finally understood what fear had blinded them to. Humanity was not the destroyer they had imagined. They were survivors, creators, and dreamers who had simply refused to bow. On the bridge of the Ragnarok, Ilara watched the stars fade into dawn. Dr. Hale stood beside her. He asked softly, "Do you think they'll ever laugh at us again?" Ilara smiled for the first time in years. "Maybe," she said, "but next time, they'll know why we don't laugh back." The camera pulled away, showing the massive ship slowly turning toward the sunrise over Earth.